Why should you join the Livingston County Republican Party?
Why, you ask?
Yeah, why?
Why join?
The Republican Party is the party of common sense.
Common sense.
Republicans support the Constitution.
Republicans protect your rights.
We fight to keep your children safe.
We fight to keep boys and men out of girls and women's sports.
We fight to keep boys out of girls' restrooms.
We fight for you.
What does the Republican Party do?
We help Republican candidates get elected.
Why is it important to elect Republicans?
Why is that important?
Why?
Tell me, why is that important?
Livingston County is one of the safest counties in Michigan.
Livingston County has one of the lowest crime rates in the state of Michigan.
Livingston County has the lowest tax millage rate of all 83 counties.
Republicans work to balance the budget.
Republican legislators vote against raising your taxes.
Republican elected officials believe in transparency.
Republican clerks run elections with integrity.
Republican trustees protect your rights.
Republicans support our veterans.
Who can join?
If you are conservative, we want you in our party.
All conservatives are welcome at our table.
Join our activities.
Join the fun.
Become a member.
Join us now.
Hi, I'm Deb Drick, Chair of Livingston County Republican Party. Our conservative message has been very well received in Livingston County, and I'm so happy to share with you that people are stepping up right and left to help. The only thing's missing is you. Come join our mission. Come join our fun. Go to livingstonrepublicans.com and click join. You'll be glad you did. Good evening and happy 2026. This is our first podcast for this year. I am Deb Drick, the chair of Livingston County Republican Party, and with me today is my special guest, Ralph Rebant. Thank you, Ralph, for coming here. He's candidate for governor, and I appreciate you driving out to red Livingston County and visiting with us, so thanks for making the drive. We're going to start right in here with, hi, Joni. I see that Joni's saying hello. Hi, Joni. Thanks for showing up. All right, Ralph, if you would tell everybody that's watching and everybody that'll be watching on their way to work tomorrow and on the way home from work tomorrow and for the next week, tell us your bio. Tell us about you personally. Tell us about who is Ralph.
Well, I grew up in Woodhaven, Michigan, and you told me not to look at you.
I know. I was about to kick you.
So I grew up in Woodhaven, Michigan. I went to a public school, K through 6. My parents sent me to a Christian school from 7th through 12th because the educational system at that point was not effective. So they sent me to the Christian school. I saw this cute little girl in 7th grade, and I said, I'm going to marry that girl one day. Believe it or not, yes, ma'am. And so I actually wrote her name in my book, Ralph Loves Carol.
All right.
In 11th grade, I had the courage to ask her out on a date, and we hit it off then. And actually, I proposed to her on the evening of graduation from high school. Got married 6 months later, and moved off to Pennsylvania for college and graduate school, and we had our first son. And I can't look at you.
No.
All
right, wait, I'm getting the knee ready.
Yeah, 3 years later, we had our first kid, and we have 4 grown children, amazing spouses, and 20 grandkids.
Wow.
So yeah, that's my personal life.
That's
I
right.
keep wanting to look.
I know. You're catching
I'll
yourself.
Keep
That's
looking
good.
at y'all.
That's good.
So anyway, that's my personal life. I knew at the age 12 that I was going to be a pastor, so I went to Bible college, went to seminary. Worked on the highest degree I worked on was a PhD in history.
Okay.
And so history has really guided my thinking because, if you forget the mistakes of the past, you're going to commit them in the future.
Sure.
So came back to Michigan in 85, started a church. I was there for 35 years. Through that experience, I had law enforcement chaplaincy open up for me, both in Farmington Hills, Beverly Hills, Southeastern Chiefs, Michigan Chiefs of Police. And the Michigan Chiefs have endorsed me for governor, and they know me. They know who I am. They know my character. So I'll come up and let you ask another question. But
there, I just kicked you. You're not getting in. You're getting kicked.
This is a little awkward.
It's all right. You'll figure it out. You will.
Yep.
You'll get kicked either way, or you go home bruised, whichever. All right. So Rob Rodriguez Pellizzari said to say, "Great to see you, Ralph." So
great to see you, Rob.
Okay. So then, all right. Well then, what's your profession? Okay, your professional history. You talked about that. You were a pastor, so you went right into that. You stole my thunder. All right. Here we go. So let's talk about your Have you run previously for any offices?
Can I back up to my?
You can. You can.
I won't look at you. Can I back up to my my previous work experience?
Wait a minute here. Let's just do this.
I could have been done by the time you're doing that.
Go ahead, talk. Go ahead. You can back up all you want because I got to do something here.
Yeah, when I was in graduate school, I was a plant manager for a place called Formula Laboratories. They manufactured car wax from production to sending out for salesmen to sell the car wax. And so I was involved in all of that. I've been self-employed at times. I have started small businesses. I just actually ran across a business card when we were in Pennsylvania where I was doing construction and carpentry and masonry and things like that. But we've done everything across the board. I built 3 houses. I've been involved in so many things, starting new businesses from a vision. You talked about having a strategic plan. We've done that all the way to completion. So have a variety of wide experience. Also been involved in a few unions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy background. But when you get married at 18, you have to do just about anything you can to survive financially because nobody paid for my college, nobody paid for my graduate school. So we're out there working hard, doing whatever we could.
Okay. All right. So now, have you run for office? What
was your question?
Have you run for office?
Yes, I ran for office in 2022. Sometimes I look back as that as being boot camp. We learned a lot of things. We learned it's hard to trust people.
Yes, that is true.
It's unbelievable. So we learned that. I really believe that 2022 is preparation for now. I've had people not only in Michigan but around the country say, Ralph, 2022 is preparation for what you're doing now. You had the right message in 2022, but people are ready to receive it now. There's so many things going on that are crazy, whether it's rioting in the streets and my connections with law enforcement and the solutions we have there, or whether it's just bringing God back into the culture. God's principles worked, Deb. That's what our country was founded on. Our Constitution was founded on biblical truth. Our founders, let me just say this, in terms of pastors who were involved in the early days of our country, King George had 12 death warrants out in the early days during the Revolution. 9 of them were pastors.
Oh.
They were leading the charge to protect their citizens and the people in their community. And so, I've known Charlie Kirk since before he was a thing.
Okay.
And he served on the Council for National Policy with us. I'm still on that. And we went to several of his pastors' events. I spoke at one in Michigan, or maybe 2 in Michigan. But he always encouraged pastors to get involved. And the reason why is because he knew the history of our country as well. And so I really feel in some ways my run for governor is fulfilling his dream, even though he's not with us, he's in heaven.
Okay. All right. So is that what made you want to run? That's kind of my...
I would say what made me want to run again was I just looked at the options. Either I'm crazy or courageous.
I think, a
little bit of both. I'm sure.
I think you have to be a little bit of both.
But in all honesty, Deb, this is a calling. And if I go back to 2022, many of your listeners know the story from 2022, why I was running. But if I go back to that, I had a gal come up to me at the Council for National Policy, and even people over the last 4 years were saying, are you going to run again? Are you going to run again? And I say, I don't think so. We spent our entire retirement to run, and we're not going to, we just don't have the money to do that. And she said, well, I want you to remember, Ralph, that if God calls you to something, it may not have been your time in 2022, but it could be in 2026. So I just prayed about it, and I can tell you that we threw out a fleece, as it were. We had some crazy requests of God, and He actually delivered on it.
Okay.
So we're convinced He wants us in this race.
All right.
So many things have happened since then to fall into line to confirm what I just said. So.
Okay. Well, good. All right. Well, hold on just a second. We're going to go right to commercial, and then we'll be back in a minute.
Someone once said, "Where your treasure goes, there also will be your heart." What kind of world do you want to invest in? Do your investments fund industries that tempt people to harm relationships? What if you could be more intentional with your money? What if your investments built content that enriched others' minds? Jason Huntley, CFP, has been guiding families for 30 plus years to plan, invest, and build for the next generation. Scan the QR code now to make that first step to investing intentionally.
Why should you join the Livingston County Republican Party?
Why, you ask?
Yeah, why? Why join?
The Republican Party is the party of common sense.
Common sense.
Republicans support the Constitution.
Republicans protect your rights.
We fight to keep your children safe.
We fight to keep boys and men out of girls' and women's sports.
We fight to keep boys out of girls' restrooms.
We fight for you.
What does the Republican Party do?
We help Republican candidates get elected.
Why is it important to elect Republicans?
Why is that important?
Why? Tell me, why is that important?
Livingston County is one of the safest counties in Michigan.
Livingston County has one of the lowest crime rates in the state of Michigan.
Livingston County has the lowest tax millage rate of all 83 counties.
Republicans work to balance the budget.
Republican legislators vote against raising your taxes.
Republican elected officials believe in transparency.
Republican clerks run elections with integrity.
Republican trustees protect your rights.
Republicans support our veterans.
Who can join?
If you are conservative, we want you in our party.
All conservatives are welcome at our table. Join our activities.
Join the fun.
Become a member.
Join us now.
Hi, I'm Deb Drick, Chair of Livingston County Republican Party. Our conservative message has been very well received in Livingston County, and I'm so happy to share with you that people are stepping up right and left to help. The only thing's missing is you. Come join our mission. Come join our fun. Go to livingstonrepublicans.com and click join. You'll be glad you did. Hello, we're back. Okay, thanks for coming back here. We had to get to a couple of quick commercials. So, let's see. So the next question I have is what's going to make you, what skills do you bring to the table? Personal skills, professional skills that'll make you a great governor?
Personal skills are the people skills that I have. I'm a great listener, Deb. I have been doing that my whole life. I have a wife, so I'm a good listener. You're supposed to laugh at that.
I was.
But seriously, that's a key ingredient. If you look up, qualities of great leaders, that's one of those that lists up at the top. And I listen to people because I know that, as we were talking before we began, people need to be heard. And that's my biggest personal quality that I have. Professionally, as I mentioned, I've managed people, I've managed businesses, I've started businesses. I know what it's like to be in the thick of things, wondering how are we going to make this financially. When you get married at 18, as I said, you're struggling. And so professionally, I would take that history into the governor's chair and just say, as I have even as a pastor, people are out there hurting. They're having a hard time with affordability. I've been there. I know what that's like. I'm not a wealthy man. I know what it's like to wonder where your next paycheck is, and I know what it's like to have too much month left at the end of the money. That's where we've been, and I haven't forgotten that. So I really believe that the people of Michigan need a governor who's been there, understood that, because you get caught up in the system and you start getting money from not donors, but lobbyists, and you start getting bought off. And I can tell you that money has never motivated me in anything. I'm a man of truth. I I want people to know that I would be the most truthful candidate or truthful governor in the history of Michigan, regardless of whether or not it's popular or not. I'm going to tell people the truth.
Okay.
And without truth and transparency, that's the problem we have right now. And those problems spread across every party and every person. And as I said, I want kids to be able to look up to the governor's chair when I'm there and when I'm gone and say, I want to be governor of Michigan one day, because Ralph took politics from being dirty to being righteous.
Good. Okay. Awesome. We have when we do our candidate trainings out here, what I tell everybody is that the most qualified candidate isn't always the one that wins. There's only a percentage of the time that person will win. But 100% of the time, the most electable candidate wins. And we talk about how you get elected and how you become electable. And in that particular case, I talk about what I consider Drick election pie, which is we're going to draw a pie and we're going to put all the slices, and each slice is a section. And this section could be money, it could be message, could be history, could be sign locations, could be endorsements, it could be all the components. And he who has the most pie slices wins. Where do you have strong pie slices?
I have strong pie slices everywhere. I really can't tell you all of them right now because we're running in lanes that people don't even know.
Okay, let's back up. I'm not looking for specifics. Do you think you'll have more endorsements than everybody else?
Oh, I already
sign
do.
locations.
Okay,
then that's the kind of thing.
Okay, we can talk about that. If you go to my website, you'll see that I'm endorsed by the Chiefs of Police. Southeastern Chiefs unanimously endorsed me. I'm endorsed by Rick Green, Patriot Academy. I don't know if you've heard of Rick Green.
I have not.
Shouldn't be looking at you. Rick Green and Biblical Citizenship. He started that, and he was a legislator in Texas, and people in Michigan love him. So that's huge. I'm endorsed by a lot of national figures. General Boykin, who happens to be one of the founders of the Army Rangers. We're working on Allen West. We've got some big endorsements out there, and we've got some that are coming that are going to put me in a different camp than everyone else. So we have endorsements. We don't have any signs out there, but we did a commercial during the U of M game. Also during the Central Michigan game, we had our same commercial on that. It was a lot of fun filming that. It was my first time to do that, and it's tough to do a 30-second commercial. I mean, it sounds crazy to do that, but to make everything go smoothly and, lights in your eyes and kind of like they were brighter than this, but it's cameras rolling at you and rolling back. I mean, it's pretty intense. So,
I feel it. I feel your pain.
Yeah,
I've been there, done that.
Yep.
I got it addressing.
You did it wrong?
Yeah, if it's first name on there, kind of gets.
What is your website?
Rebant for Governor.
Good thing I didn't put that up there for God and everybody else to see that big typo. Do it. Tyler's over here typing the website as we always post the website, and he just stopped me and said, don't put that one up there. So we'll put the good one up right here. There we go. There it is.
Yep.
There's the website that you can look into more for Ralph. So yes, commercials, they're fun.
They are.
Radio spots, they're fun.
So
how many takes did it take you?
Wow. I lost count. That's all I can say is I lost
that
count.
Many, huh? Okay.
Yeah. It's funny because, you're doing these takes and, you have the script memorized, but it's a whole different scenario when you're reciting it on your bed when you're going to sleep. And when the cameras are rolling, the lights are on, people are in the back, they're doing this and that. It's a totally different feel. Mm-hmm. And after a few takes, the director said, Ralph, let's go out on the porch. We go out on the porch. I recited just like this. I mean, it was perfect. He said, take a deep breath and go back in, and we're going to do this. And we did. And it was smooth. It was perfect. So we ran a few others just in case, but it went well and it was run. So it was a good day.
You saw our membership commercial that we did. I wrote that script and I picked the people to say the right things, and most of it I filmed, and some of them filmed it themselves and sent it in. So I walked around filming it. The take after take after take. But you know what? Eventually you get it exactly how you want it, and there it is. It's gone. So.
And that's real life though, because that happens. Take one, take
that's
two,
right,
and that happens in Hollywood. So you do your best, and finally something will click.
And after a while too, it gets easier. So it after the first time. So what else I got here? How you doing on your signatures?
Doing great. We've had several individual thousands coming in from people who have been getting them, helping us get those, and we're doing exceptionally well with those.
You doing them on your own, or are you hiring them out?
We're doing both. We don't have a company doing it because what happened in 2020.
That's what I was asking.
No company. We're working through individuals that we know, and so we're doing really, really well in that.
Okay, so you think you'll have your minimum?
There's no question. We had I'm going to say 19,732 the first time.
Okay.
We turned those in. My wife did a spreadsheet.
How many do you need?
You need 15,000.
Okay.
But most people are turning in, more than that.
Right, sure.
And we're going to do the same thing. We'll turn in over 20,000.
Okay.
But my point is, we were so persnickety with everything that we did. We took every name, every address, every county to make sure that those names were in the counties. We verified them on the Secretary of State roll as legitimate voters. Mm-hmm. And when we turned them in, we knew they were all good. Because as I said, my wife's a crazy organizer. That's a good sense. We turned in the sheets, we photocopied it, and they didn't reject one of them. So if you do your work, you're going to turn in some good signatures. We could probably turn in 15,001. And if they were to dispute it, we have copies of it to actually say we did the research.
Do you have a good door knocking team?
We do. Yeah, we've got people all over the state who are saying, can we help? How can we help? What can we do? And so right now we're just saying, it's wintertime, just talk to your friends and neighbors. But it's
sure.
I'm telling you, Deb, from the first run, and this is what people are dismissing, from the first run, we had tens of thousands of people that were behind us. And actually, if you look at the group of guys, I have more votes out of the gate right now than anyone else. They've not run for governor, and I've got all these votes, all these people who are pinging me every day. What can we do? What can we do? So we delegate that to other people who are getting signatures or getting lined up, and all these other things that are going on. So, I'm geeked. I really am.
Okay, awesome. What's over here? So let's just assume for a minute that you're neck and neck with somebody up there for first place. What do you think is going to be the element or elements that pushes you over the edge for the win?
Yeah, my answer, we're talking about the primary.
The overtime. Stop looking at me. Stop.
Oh, yeah.
That's the primary. Yeah, you're neck and neck with somebody, and what is it that's going to give you that extra point, that field goal for the win?
Yeah, that's a simple question. I'm an outsider.
Okay.
I'm an outsider.
All right.
Let me just state a fact.
Okay.
We have sent politicians to be governor. We have sent attorneys to be governor. We've sent businessmen and women to be governors.
Yep.
And Deb, think with me, they haven't fixed the problem. They haven't. We have a higher budget now. We have more depression, more mental illness. We have issues in our state. Corruption run rampant. They haven't fixed it. And so an outsider coming in who Lansing doesn't owe me, I don't owe them. That's what our state needs. And honestly, that's what's right.
All right. Well, I'm going to back up a little bit. Since I was there in the legislature through some of that, through a few of those. I would say that yes, since we've gotten Governor Whitmer, that budget has gotten out of control, but Governor Snyder came in, also an outsider, FYI, that came in and that budget got attacked. It got chopped, it got cut, it got straightened out. It was the best 8 years I have ever spent in Lansing as far as everything running, all the budget trains running on time. So having it, where is your, and I look to, Rick Snyder, you can say great things about him or you might not like him. I felt that he was the right guy for the time, because that budget after Granholm was, people do not realize how bad it was, because they didn't share how bad it was. So many funds had been robbed that Governor Snyder had to make up. So he did a lot of really, whatever you can say or you don't like about him, he was phenomenal with the budget. He did a great job of building up that rainy day fund and, taking Michigan and putting them in great places. But what will you do to right that ship? Those are the things he did. He made tough choices with the budget. Where do you compare yourself there to him as far as his strengths and his, I don't want to make it him. Make it about you. What will you do? What will you do? What's your plan to right Michigan?
Well, first of all, I like what he did and everything that he did. I'm not disagreeing with anything you said. The only thing I would say is in the last 60 years, this last budget that was actually cut back is the first time in 60 years that the budget was cut back.
I believe it.
So, I mean, Rick, God bless him, he did a great job, and his budgets increased not anywhere obviously nearly what Whitmer has wasted our money on and the corruption that's there. So I want to just state that in terms of really some serious hard looks at the budget, an outsider is going to have the opportunity to do that. I don't know if anybody watching this has seen the movie Dave. Have you seen the movie Dave?
I don't think so. Maybe I have.
Everybody who's watching should go watch that. You get past the first scene and you're good. But basically, the president has a heart attack, and there's this guy who's a comedian. He's a lookalike, and they get this lookalike guy to fill his spot while they're trying to figure out what to do with him. He's dead. The president's dead. So I don't want to give it all away, but there's a scene. There's a scene where they're sitting in the boardroom talking about the budget. And his common sense, on your program here, as it just started, Republicans are common sense.
Right.
He's offering common sense solutions, and all of the establishment around him, they're just livid. They're mad. They're like, "What are you doing?" And he's like,
"It was Snyder too. Let me tell you, it was there."
Yeah. So that's what we have to bring into Lansing in order to get sanity back. So what I would do first of all, and we've done this, and I've got people who are working on the budget right now. I would look at Snyder's budget and I would say, what has increased so much that's brought us up to $24 billion over what Snyder had? We have to get back to this budget. That would be, so what do we need to cut to get back to here? Because honestly, Deb,
besides tampons in the men's bathrooms? Couldn't resist.
Yeah, well, that adds up too. But the reality is those items need to be addressed. And there's so much corruption, Deb. I could talk about that because I've seen it. My team's working on it. And, I'll give you one example. Everybody talks about the fourth branch of government, the non-elected bureaucrats that are making our life miserable.
They are.
My goodness, they're like officers just going out writing tickets to people, not police officers. They're working for whether it's Eagle or DNR or whatever. You don't agree with my assessment of your house or your job or your farm or your barn. I just write you a ticket, get it fixed. If you don't get it fixed, we'll see you in court. And they've got the Attorney General's line item budget that's so big they don't even have it broken down. Nobody even knows where that money's going. So then it becomes the individual or the business versus the government, and that person's going to go out of business. And so those are the non-elected bureaucrats that pass administrative rules, as you know, because you were in the legislature, that make our lives miserable. So my first 6 months, we're going to have 2,000 of those folks bought out. So they retire, they're out of big government, and we're going to start working with a lean, mean budget. I also am going to I've got pens called the veto pen.
Oh.
I've got a veto pen.
You got a veto pen.
A literal veto pen that I'm going to use. I'm going to hold it up and say, here we go. Because as governor, I have line item veto.
Sure.
And if again, it's going to be common sense. I'm not going to be cutting, citizens who need help or veterans or kids.
Sure.
I'm not doing that. But watch Dave and you'll see how he takes care of the people.
All right, let's see what we got here. It said we got Joni saying, yes, the nerd did fix many areas. Detroit, for example. We've also got, Joni says Kevin Klein played Dave. So
that's right.
Okay. All right. Then we have Stephanie who says the tampon tax was ended in Michigan. Yes, we know. We're just more poking fun at it. It's just a silly thing. Can you help me? I'm an elected official being bullied and harassed. Well, I don't know that this is the time for that, but sorry about that, Jennifer. If you're an elected official, go to your local Republican Party and start there. I don't know. I don't think you're here. I don't think you're one of mine. If you are, say so. Then we'll make a point of it. Okay. So all right, your veto pen, a special pen. You got all that ready? Ready and clicked and ready to go, huh? All right. Well,
I do.
Somebody needs to use one because they are absolutely things have grown out of things. But I think if you end up with a Republican Senate, I know Ann Bolin she's a cutter from the very. I can't imagine she will not be the chair of appropriations next year, and she has no issue with cut. So she'll certainly support any cuts that you have. So
awesome.
Anyway, all right. Well, tell us what else we ought to know about you.
Well, as I mentioned, I want to be known as the most truthful, transparent governor.
Okay.
We have a plan to make that happen because I work for the people and I want the people to be holding me accountable.
Okay.
I'll give you an example, several examples of how that's going to happen. This gal said, I'm an elected official. How do I'm being bullied. All I will say is this. I have an open door in my office.
Okay.
And I am literally, Deb, going to have a round table in my office. It's called the Citizens Round Table.
Okay.
And at least once a month, I'm going to have people who are from every walk of life. I don't care if they're janitors or doctors or whatever they are. They're going to come in my office and they're going to let me know what's going on in their lives. I mean, as a pastor, I've had that all the time. Hey, Ralph, can I talk to you? I'm used to those interruptions. And I had a team to help me out with other things during those interruptions. And so people need to know that they're cared for. And this is a message, Deb, that's resonating everywhere. It's resonating with Democrats, it's resonating with independents, and resonating with Republicans because people have not been heard. And so I want to know what's going on. So they can ask me questions, what's going on. It works both ways at that table. The other thing is I'm going to have what's called Bill's Waiting Room. You probably have experienced this, maybe you did when you're in the legislature. The legislature stays up till 1:30 in the morning. They pass a bill. The governor signs it at 3:15 a.m. 2 weeks later, the citizens find out about it, and it's like, did they really vote for that? How come we didn't hear anything about that? Bill's Waiting Room is a 2-week waiting period. Now, of course, there might be something. I shouldn't look at it. There's something that might be emergency related. I understand that, but that's got to be very far and few between. But the bottom line is, over a 2-week period, people will have the opportunity to go on a website and respond to this bill because I want to know how it affects them. You may be aware that Greg Alexander up in the thumb, I believe the bill is 4027 4028, and what it does is it returns control back to the local people. So I don't care if it's
returns control on what? Oh, you mean it gets rid of PA 233?
It gets
okay, all right.
It gets
regarding wind energy.
Everything.
Okay,
everything.
Yep,
I don't care if it's the fishing industry up in the thumb.
Right.
Lansing should not be legislating what's going on in people's lives. There's no such thing as a across the board agreement. I mean, what happens in drilling a well in downriver into clay versus drilling a well up north in the sand, it's a totally different process. And so you can't just have a blanket program that you're calling people to become accountable to. So Alexander's bill would basically say we're taking Lansing out of the discussion and we're sending it back to the local people.
So it's not just 233, it's other stuff.
It is.
Okay, all right.
So my goal, well, I don't know, Greg Alexander's bill is probably addressing 233, but I'm using that as an example for everything. I don't care if it's...
Hold on just a second. William, patience, we'll get to your... Stop asking me the same question. Will this live stream be recorded and available on the website? It is available on YouTube under the right side Livingston. Okay. If you ask your question once, I promise I'll get you to it. So anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So back to it. It doesn't matter if it's windmills, solar panels, fishing. It doesn't matter if it's AI centers. We'll probably get on that. The bottom line is the people in the local area need to make that decision because that's how they can hold their elected officials accountable.
Okay. So let me give you some thoughts on that Bill's Waiting Room thing. I understand what you're trying to do. There is a really long period of time in between the bill getting voted on in the House and then going to the Senate and going through committee. And that is the purpose of the committee hearings, to allow the public to come in, to let them hear, to let them comment, to let them speak. That is the purpose of the committee hearings. Would you be then usurping or end running the legislature on that? Because let's just say, for example, you get bombarded with people that don't like something that has already gone through that process, and your Republicans like it, and it's mostly Democrats, and maybe you don't know that come in and sit in Bill's waiting room and scream at you. How do you overrule the legislators that have gone through the legal, legitimate process because people have come into the waiting room and said, we don't like this?
Well, as you know,
I don't want to be contradictory.
No.
I'm picking here.
No, that's good, and I want to be transparent on this. I want to be honest in what I would do.
Okay.
Obviously, let's say it goes through the process,
Mm-hmm.
and it lands on my desk.
Yep.
I can either sign it or not sign it.
That's right.
So I want to make sure that the people that the bill's going to affect the most,
right,
have the opportunity to say something about it.
So you're going to make him wait 2 weeks? Is that what you said? You've got a 2-week wait period?
I want a 2-week waiting period because information isn't always disseminated through the news media. So I want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity.
There's a rule. I don't remember the days, but you only get so many days, and then if the governor does not approve, it's automatic in. So you don't have that 2 weeks.
Okay.
You're going to have you're going to have a few X amount of days.
Yeah, whatever the time is. I know. There's a 10-day period in the feds.
I think that is, yes. And so you're
let's
2
say
weeks.
10 days.
Yes. Okay, all right.
Part of 2 weeks.
I caution you to think that one through,
That's
because
good.
that is maybe 2 weeks from the committee hearing until the vote. Maybe you give the 2-week window then, because then you're not overruling your legislature.
Right.
But that's what that committee process is for. And I understand what you're trying to do, and I like it. But I'm also it's just me personally. I'm a huge believer in the process.
Oh, amen.
The process is what it is,
Yep.
and we have there's been a spot put into the legislature for public comment, and to have a second public comment at the end that could then change that process is a dangerous thing that I'm not worried about making people angry. I just think you're usurping.
Yeah.
So, but I understand what you're saying. I think it should happen in the committee process, though, maybe between committee and on the floor.
I met with Bill Lee, who's the governor of Tennessee,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he's getting termed out this year.
Mm-hmm.
But I met with him in his office for about
Mm-hmm.
an hour, and he shared that with me. And I said, his name's Bill.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's Bill's waiting room. So
Yes,
I'm naming it after him to give him the credit. So it's already working in some states. My point would simply be that, of course, I would not usurp the process, but the whole intent of this is to allow people who it's going to affect the most to respond.
And I as I said, I commend that. I just think your timing needs to back up, because once the legislature votes,
Fair enough.
that's their rights. That's unless you have a moral angst with the bill itself, then especially if it's a Republican bill, you've already been in the process somewhere, you're updated everything else. So all right, so here we go. Let's get some. Okay, Curtis Clark, stop telling me the same thing over and over. I'll get you. I always do. Do I ever skip you? Patriot approved is in support of Ralph. Good. All right, now we got that. All right, there's let's see, what else do we got here? There's Curtis again saying the same thing. And then we've got Jennifer saying, correct, but they skip and divvy out funds without the votes. Now we have a mega site who has been given $259 million taxpayer dollars for a project that's still. Yes, we are in Michigan. Where are you in Michigan, Jennifer? I can't. You must be in Mason. You must be near Mason. That's the only place. That's the only place right now fighting over the data center. So, what do you think about data centers? Yeah, talk about a loaded question.
I am not in favor of data centers.
You are not? Okay.
No, I mean, we have so many natural resources, and water is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they require so much water. There's studies that have been done. People around the data centers have had COPD from the exhaust and the pollution in the air. Yeah.
Okay.
I would just say on the data centers, when windmills and I'm not against ingenuity and not investigations, but ingenuity and innovation.
Right.
I'm not against that, but what I am against is when solar and windmills come in and they say, look, we're going to give you X amount of dollars to put up all this stuff,
right?
And then they never do.
Right.
It doesn't help anybody. It causes neighbor to fight against neighbor.
Okay.
That's why I'm back to the local thing. We can't have Whitmer or Lansing telling people that you're going to cut down trees in Otsego County to put in solar panels. That's just lunacy.
That is lunacy. But the data centers are not the wind and nobody's given them a free pass. But I just wondered because that's a big thing right now, and there's people on both sides of that issue. I know that they're starting new data centers that don't use water at all. They have the dry coolers. And so is it the resources that you don't like, or is it they're giant computers, right?
Yeah. So they're, again, if somebody can come up with one that doesn't pollute the air, doesn't cause COPD, if they can come up with something that doesn't make all the noise. I've seen videos of data centers just in the neighborhoods, just decibels so high that it's mind bending. And if somebody can come up with something like that, we'll reconsider. that.
Interesting that and I guess I would love to see one of those because I went down to New Albany, Ohio, and I'm not necessarily for data centers, but I wanted to know the truth. Very much like you, I want the truth.
Yep.
I don't want to hear how they kill bald eagles in the air. Which is just one of the nonsense things that were said here. We were Howell Township was looking at getting one, but so I went down. I spent 16 hours in a car touring these things. In New Albany, Ohio, there's like 60, 70 of them. Wow. They just keep allowing them to come in because they're so lucrative tax-wise. I'm in the middle of 300 acres of these things. I couldn't hear one of them. Not one of them. Wow. So I don't know if some of them are loud or some of them aren't, but not one. And I toured them all. And they are ugly. And when I was I did some interviewing of some city officials, and I interviewed some of the Meta people and from Google, and I did some talking to them, and I told them, I said, as far as I'm concerned, I can't smell anything, I can't hear anything, I don't, everybody was telling me that the farmer across the street said, we don't have any problems with them, I'd rather have them there than the neighborhoods, but the one thing there is ugly as sin. I said, if you shape them like a barn, you're paint them white, put them 400 yards off, and shape them like a barn. You have no trouble. They're in the middle of the field. They're a barn. Nobody's going to have any problems. So anyways, I was just curious. I'm not, like I said, it's not happening now here. So, and that's okay. It's less fighting in the community.
Well, you mentioned a point. You said they bring in taxes.
Oh my God, huge money.
Let me ask you this. Why do we need the taxes?
It's not just, the
budget's bloated. We've got to cut it so we don't need the taxes.
They don't give the state taxes. They give the locals taxes. And there's no local has a bloated tax base that I do. But it's not just the taxes. They do a lot of, they have, at least the big ones, they have huge voluntary partnerships with the community. They built in, I think it was Altoona, Iowa. They built one of them. Google, I think, built a STEM center for the kids for the school. They could come in. They build. They donate to the schools. They sponsor. They give out millions of dollars in grants and for schools, for education, for kids. So it's not just tax money. It's also community money. But you build a new community center. There's with that kind of tax money, you put in a police department, whatever. So.
If I on that tax money statement, let me just back up for just a moment. During COVID, I was obviously candidating, and I remember hearing a gal who's an elected official here in Michigan, and her comment was, "We've got to get people back to work so we can support our programs." Yeah, on the one hand, that's true, but on the other hand, that's typical. That's typical politic talking, because as you know, Deb. Politicians, and I'm not picking on you.
No, I'm a tough old bird. You're not hurting me. Go ahead.
From the outside looking in, all right, here's how it looks to me. Politicians, when they have a problem, they do one of two things. They pass a bill that they think will solve the problem. It ends up on the governor's desk. They sign it, and then they wash their hands and say, we're done.
That's right.
The other option is you put money into that program.
Throw money in it, right.
You throw money at it, you wash your hands, we're done.
Right.
That hasn't solved anything.
No.
That's only created more taxes, more problems, more debt, that we're saddling the young people on. And I'm telling you, Deb, I can't sit by and watch this budget keep going up and saddle the next generation and tell them that, hey, you're going to have a 50-year mortgage.
Sure.
Affordability is going to be impossible for you.
Sure.
I'm going in to change things.
All right, devil's advocate here.
Go for
Data
it.
centers come in and put all the money and lower the need for the budget.
That
If they're funding the local governments, you don't need to increase the local governments.
Yeah.
I mean, huge money, huge.
I have a safer program.
And that doesn't hurt your state at all, your state budget. If anything, it strengthens your state.
If what you're saying is true, that's something that you'd have to think about.
Yeah.
But at this point, I'm not sold on data
No,
centers.
I'm not
at all.
either. I'm not either.
sold
There's
on
too
it.
many questions that need to be still answered.
Exactly.
But
And that's why I said
I'm still open to listening about them. I want to see. You keep wanting to look at me.
I know.
Yeah. So I did not, you liar. You're supposed to be Mr. Truth, and then you just lied about me kicking about you. Yeah. Anyway, all right. So I'm just at this point I'm just curious. It's they're going to have to come back with some different messaging before they're ever going to get accepted. And I think that they made some tremendous changes. And I also think that one of the biggest problems they have is they don't come forward at the beginning and say who we are and what we stand for. Now, having seen the crazies come out,
right.
Maybe they don't want them at their, they don't want them on their board meetings or, at their shareholders' houses. So maybe that's a problem. So, okay, just curious on that. So we have a question here. Joni wants to know, what's your position on property taxes?
Property taxes. Well, Joni, I'm on record as saying right now I'm supporting Axe My Tax if it gets on the ballot. If it doesn't get on the ballot. When it doesn't get on the ballot, we have a plan to basically phase out property tax. It's not going to be an overnight thing. First of all, seniors will be deducted. They won't be paying property tax. If you're over 65.
That's the best thing.
If you're over 65, you won't be paying property tax. So over the next 4 years, we have a plan to phase it out to give local communities a chance to figure out how it's going to happen. Now, here's the key. When you have property tax, at least the way it's set up right now, it's stealing your home. The government can steal your home if you can't pay that. And I am totally against that. I don't want people to lose their homes. To connect property tax to the ownership of homes is criminal. I really believe that because you have people who fall on hard times. I know them as a pastor. I've ran into them. Whether it's a cancerous situation, whether it's a divorce, whatever it is, whether it's an older couple that the one husband dies and the wife's left alone, she's lost his Social Security. She can't afford her property now. They lose their house. Right. That is just criminal. That's criminal.
You're right.
So I'm totally against property tax, but I'm not going to pull the rug out from under local municipalities and just say good luck. I have a plan to phase it out.
That's what Axe My Tax is. There's too many problems. It causes more problems than it cures, but that's my point. But I like the idea of not taking away. Anybody shouldn't lose their house. Right. You can put a lien on that house. And eventually collect your money if you need to. But I also don't think, I know there are some places that I feel like the local governments, when they do get that lien, sometimes they sell it off and they keep. So they owe $20,000 in back taxes, and they get the house and they sell it for $250,000 and they keep it. Right. And they've done that. There've been municipalities, so that has got to be outlawed. So,
but can I?
Sure, as much as you want.
Yeah, just comment on this one more time. We have a crisis right now in local governments. The police chief, the fire chief, the school board, they all sit down together and they say, okay, who's going to ask for the millage this year?
I know how that works.
Yeah. And because they can't all ask for a millage that year because it won't pass. Well, the reality is it doesn't matter if you live in a wealthy neighborhood or a low-income zip code right now. Those millages that are being proposed, 50% of them have not passed because people are tired of paying taxes, more taxes. And why would you want to lose your home? So people are rejecting that. And so there's a time coming when local governments are going to have to say, what are we going to do with this? How are we going to make these payments? How are we going to support our government? You know, the Fed, our state government has to ask that question because around half of it is federal money coming in.
Yep.
Well, when the federal government goes broke, how are we going to afford that? So we have to prepare ahead of time, and that's why I said I have can't look at you, I have my veto pen, and we're going to use that. And I know it's going to be tough, I'm telling you, but again, it comes down to our youth. Deb, I've seen the affordability factor being taken away from young people. They can't live the American dream. You and I have lived the American dream. I really believe that we have. I mean, I'll just say I've lived the American dream. But I look at these young people and they're scared. They're worried about how on earth are we going to afford a house? How can we afford a family? The other day I went into the grocery store and I bought paper towels and toilet paper. $28. How does that happen? That's not even food. But it's
buy the ginormous cake. Wow.
The big jumbo rolls. But you know, seriously, these young people, my heart goes out to them. I don't want them to leave the state. And you know this. The population of Michigan has hovered around 10 million people. There are kids born every day. There are people leaving every day.
Oh, I get it.
And we have to do something that's going to make them want to stay.
That's right. You know, and I'm going to build on that millage statement just a little bit. It's not just that they get the millage, especially some of these schools. I've been on a school board before, and here's what I've learned, that sometimes the millages, they put themselves in positions where if they're like dependent on that millage. And it's not like, well, we get this extra thing if we get this millage. They might say that, but in truth, if they don't get that millage, their bottom's going to drop out. Yeah. And so I will tell you the trick they use, as soon as they don't think they're going to get that millage, what they first start talking is, we might have to cut busing. And I'm going to tell you something. Anybody listening, you need to know, no school will cut busing. They will tell you that because it'll scare parents. It scared me back before I knew, when I was, a single parent, thinking, oh my God, if they cut busing, how am I going to do this? So I will tell you that no school board is going to cut busing. It's not going to happen. Because they need the students there to count so they can get their money. And if there's no busing, there's no students, and they're going to get a whole lot less money. So call that bluff. But that's what they do. They put themselves in the position. Now, we got some questions here. Jennifer, by the way, is from Mundy. Mundy, where is Mundy? What county is that in? Let's see. You got that. Here's one. What's your stance on working with the federal government to expand nuclear energy?
I am 100% in favor of nuclear energy. It's the most efficient, and we need to make sure that we're on the cutting edge of that here in Michigan. Solar panels, windmills, we have less than half of our days in Michigan sunny and wind blowing.
Yeah.
I have talked to people who are in that industry, in the green industry, and they say by the time the windmill spins and it gets down to this transfer station, and by the time it gets to your house, it is so ineffective that it's a waste of money, and it's a waste. But the problem is that you talk about property taxes. Farmers are having to do that. They have to put those on their farm because they can't afford the rising property taxes.
That's right.
That's why we have to stop this insanity of spending. And there are people who are looking at their property that if we don't put that in, it's gone. We've lost it.
Well, and one of the arguments that was made, like as I said, we had a data center, big one, being looked at on the middle of about 1,000 acres of farmland. And they were going to put it 400 yards off the property, blah, 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 or off the road. And of course, everybody's screaming, we want that farmland. Well, the problem is these farmers want to sell that 1,000 acres. It's, farming just isn't what it was. Is it going to go? So here's the choices. Are you going to sell it to a data center that's going to put one building in the middle of a bunch of stuff, leave 51% green space, and also throw money into the community? Or are you going to put 1,000 acres where the solar panels in there? Because that's the next thing. The farmer gets to keep the land. He just leases to that. So, but that's the farmer's choice. And they think that if they just fight this back, they're going to keep a pristine farmland. It's either going to go to a, 2,000 to 3,000 house development, or it's going to be a solar farm. So,
Or can I give a third
go
option?
ahead, sure.
Or we remove property tax and they don't have to put a data center to get money or put up solar panels.
Unless they just are getting older and want to stop farming. I mean, I don't know how farming pays anymore.
I don't know either, but here's
Yeah.
here's something to think about. In this, if you listen to the language that they're currently using, they call them solar farms.
I know.
Remember that?
Yes.
And I know you've been in the legislature, and the reason why they're doing that is because there was a bill passed in the 1970s that required a certain amount of farming land in Michigan.
Okay.
And that farming land,
right?
If you put panels up and you can't farm it anymore, then it's not farming land. So they call it a solar
farm to keep that
right. But here's the interesting thing. The potato company or the potato industry has said we cannot grow underneath those solar panels. If something happens and those panels get struck by lightning or they get, airplane, God forbid, crashes into the field, all that glass is now in the field.
Right.
You can't clean that out.
Nope.
And potato industry has said we will not plant in a solar farm. That was solar farm prior to this. It's chemicals that will kill you.
It is. It is.
So we have to make it so people can keep their farms, and we have to make it so they are not pressured to put in something or do something.
Right. Okay, so Curtis Clark says that we should focus on a property tax exemption for homeowners only. Joni says a millage is just voting yourself a tax increase. And then we can manufacture micro-modular reactors right here in Michigan. This is Curtis. Sell them to data centers and municipal cooperatives. So that's an idea, Curtis. Thanks for sharing that. So, all right. Well, once again, let me do this. Let me go up here. You don't have your contacts on, so you don't know what I'm putting up here. I could be putting up in here. Okay, let's see. Actually, what I'm going to do is as soon as I can find the right one that Tyler's put up there. All right, there's Ralph's website up there. So I'm assuming you have a place that people can reach you there, questions, thoughts.
Absolutely.
You have a calendar up there, et cetera, et cetera.
There's everything up there you need to know. In fact, I would encourage your listeners to go to my website. On the homepage in the top right-hand corner, there are 3 oblong bars. One of them says campaign song.
Campaign song?
We have a campaign song.
You do?
You're going to love it. I was going to ask you to play it for your audience, but I don't know if it would come across clearly enough. But go to my website and play the campaign song. You will absolutely love it.
Can I pull a...
Should be able to add a website to that like you've done.
Is it that website? Oh, type it in. Wait, no. You know what? I can copy it, I think. Hang on. Let's go here. Can I copy this? Can I copy this? No. Can I copy it here? No. You're going to have to type that in. All right. We're going to play the song here because.
This will be fun. You'll love it.
If
it works, you'll love it.
DT4.com. Okay. Hang on here. We're going to be right here.
Bottom one over there, I think, is
campaign theme song. Okay. So we're going to go back here.
Can you hear that?
I don't know. Find out here. Okay. All right. It is not running. All right. Well, we thought we could play the song, but we tanked. Sorry, we tried. So, all right. Well, Ralph, thanks again for making the trip out to Livingston County. It was great getting to know you. It was great hearing what you had to say. You have any last comments here?
I'm just thankful to be on your show, Deb. Keep up the good work here in Livingston County. You guys are knocking it out. It is as red as this tablecloth, and we love it. So I would love to come out to one of your meetings, share
Okay.
a little bit more,
Absolutely.
and actually put me on the hot seat rather than have like 5 or 10 people ask questions. Have the whole group ask.
Well, what's
going to
happen is this we'll get several hundred views by the end of the night, but then what'll happen is tomorrow on the way to work and on the way home from work over the next few days, the numbers just spike. People like to listen to us on the way, so you'll get residual comments from that. So all right, stick around. We've got, well, let me just announce here before we do anything more, we've got, I want to remind everybody, particularly our REC members, we have our strategic planning session. If you're in Livingston County and you're a Republican and you want to participate, this is where we make our plans for the year. This is an important year. This is not a year that we can mess up. So we're going to, we want you here, right here at the Victory Center. This is on our website, or on our website, and it's on our Facebook page. Take a look. Chair at Livingston Republicans with an S.com. Don't worry about that. Chair with an S, LivingstonRepublicans.com. Give me an RSVP. We're also looking for a lunch sponsor. We have Commissioner Drick that's ponying up for breakfast, so we need a lunch sponsor. So if anybody's interested in doing that, let me know. All right, we're going to take a commercial, and then we will be back as soon as I find my commercial. Where'd it go? I had it here. All right, we're going to go to this one. All right, we'll be back in just a short time with Brian Ignatowski. Thanks again, Ralph.
Someone once said, where your treasure goes, there also will be your heart. What kind of world do you want to invest in? Do your investments fund industries that tempt people to harm relationships? What if you could be more intentional with your money? What if your investments built content that enriched others' minds? Jason Huntley, CFP, has been guiding families for 30 plus years to plan, invest, and build for the next generation.
Why should you join the Livingston County Republican Party?
Why, you ask?
Yeah, why?
Why join? The Republican Party is the party of common sense.
Common sense.
Republicans support the Constitution.
Republicans protect your rights.
We fight to keep your children safe.
We fight to keep boys and men out of girls and women's sports.
We fight to keep boys out of girls' restrooms.
We fight for you.
What does the Republican Party do?
We help Republican candidates get elected.
Why is it important to elect Republicans?
Why is that important?
Why? Tell me, why is that important?
Livingston County is one of the safest counties in Michigan.
Livingston County has one of the lowest crime rates in the state of Michigan.
Livingston County has the lowest tax millage rate of all 83 counties.
Republicans work to balance the budget.
Republican legislators vote against raising your taxes.
Republican elected officials believe in transparency.
Republican clerks run elections with integrity.
Republican trustees protect your rights.
Republicans support our veterans.
Who can join?
If you are conservative, we want you in our party.
All conservatives are welcome at our table.
Join our activities. Join the fun.
Become a member.
Join us now.
Hi, I'm Deb Drick, Chair of Livingston County Republican Party. Our conservative message has been very well received in Livingston County, and I'm so happy to share with you that people are stepping up right and left to help. The only thing's missing is you. Come join our mission. Come join our fun. Go to LivingstonRepublicans.com and click join. You'll be glad you did. Welcome to the right side. And with me now is the brand new 7th District Chair, District 3, Livingston County Commissioner, Frank Sample. So welcome, Frank. You're very active in the American Legion.
Correct.
You're very active in the VFWs.
This ideology is very damaging to the students who are told if you get this surgery and make this do the social transition, the medical transition, then you'll be happy and all your problems.
Yes,
learned so much.
I'll bet. That's some institutional knowledge right there. And we have, as a special guest, as I said earlier, we have Kevin Rankin with us. Welcome, Kevin. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Go Bode. Thanks, Kelly. There are no shortage of them. We love meeting new people.
Right, yes.
It's in good shape, so that's good news.
That safeness is not afforded to every citizen. They are special.
There's a difference between men and women. There's a biological difference, and it's time for us to stand up for our girls.
He went through, and he came back with a report said there's no way Detroit can meet its obligations on the tax base.
Yes.
So is this DEI focused just on the high school, or are they talking about all
district, the entire district?
Maybe that's kind of normal. It's really not. There tends to be little fiefdoms with, different police agencies and police versus fire and fire versus EMS and blah, blah, blah. That's not the case here. So Livingston County is very fortunate.
Hey, not too long ago, in many of our lifetimes, Detroit was the third largest city in America.
Oh, yeah.
3.2 million citizens.
It's been a great experience. I mean, I have no regrets about moving here.
There's an old saying that the road will get you elected, the jail will get you unelected. So, to give you an idea.
You have to have a reason to change for change to be enacted. And we're back. And this time we've got our local guy. We've got everybody's favorite 48th district candidate, Brian Ignatowski. Welcome, Brian. Glad to have you on here.
Thanks for having me, Deb. It's an honor to be here.
Well, we're thrilled. I know that everybody's all revved up to gear up for your race this year. So why don't you talk about like what you're doing? And well, first of all, there's some people out here that don't know you. So let's start with your bio. Tell us about yourself. Where'd you go? Where you grew up and whatnot.
Well, I'm glad you said that because I've had some people reach out to me after the last election and they didn't put two and two together. So I'm a Michigan resident my whole entire life. I've lived in Livingston County the majority of my life, and I'm like 30 years, actually this year. So in 1996, we moved from Lapeer to Howell.
Okay.
And I heard your comment earlier about the buses being a bluff. No, they did cancel the buses in Lapeer, and my parents were looking for good areas to raise a family, and we moved here in 96. And my mom worked for the Livingston County for 25 years before her retirement.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, I'm new to politics as far as me and by my name, but I've been around Livingston County for a long time. So, we chose to raise our family here, my wife and I and our two sons. And, I look back to even going to summer camp. I went to the Student Statesmanship Institute. So we put little suits on when we were teenagers and went and did mock legislatures on the floor. So, House and Senate floor. So I feel like there was definitely probably a seed planted there. I always paid attention. I've always voted. I'm raised by, UAW, blue collar workers. So they always said, don't listen to one side or the other, vote independently, make your own opinions, do your own research. Right. And I just found myself after raising kids and, making a little bit of money in my career, that I didn't like the way things were going. So I got more involved. And, I consider myself a conservative through and through, but what leads me here is really, you can just look around at the things on the news or the things in the state of Michigan. And Michigan, as you know, is a 50+1, so money from all over the state, outside of the state, outside of the country even, arguably comes into Michigan because races can be very influential, and it is a business. It's not why I'm doing it. And one thing I mentioned before about people not making the connection is that I've had people reach out that said, you sold me my water softener 15 years ago, and I didn't realize that. I thought that was maybe your dad or your uncle or somebody with Ignatowski. We were actually servicing a local American Legion recently, and my trailer was out and it said Brian Ignatowski for state representative. And somebody said, well, is that your dad or your uncle? I said, no, that's me. And I'm honored to be your candidate. And he's like, well, you're a blue collar guy. I'm going to vote for you.
All right.
That was great. So, I mean, that's kind of what a little bit of my background. And, again, what leads me here is just, seeking good representation.
You're married and you got a couple of boys.
Yep.
So how old are your kids?
Yeah, my boys are 10 and 15, and they play sports and very involved in that, and it's been very exciting. So last year was a big year for us, just kind of helping my wife with doing things with our boys and being involved. But it's a family deal. My whole family loved the whole campaigning. It was exciting. So within a day of things not exactly ending up the way we had hoped, but we outperformed a lot of expectations. My whole family they all said, "You're going to do it again, right?"
All right.
So, well, I think that tells me something.
Well, you've got one of those little segues that goes around, and every so often Brian will show a video on his Facebook of him knocking doors on one of those segues, or one of your kids.
Yeah.
And I just get a kick out of that. It's good to see. I mean, it's good that the kids are taking part in it. It helps them appreciate the process. It helps them learn. It helps them grow respect for the process. Too many kids have no respect for the legislative process. They don't understand it. They just laugh at it. So good for you for involving your kids. FYI, the statement I made about the busing was not universal. It was for Livingston County. I know the Livingston County budgets, and there's no Livingston County school that's going to cut their buses. So can't speak for everybody. So let's see. We got here Scott Greenlee and Kelly both said to say hi here on the sideboard here. There's Kelly, hi B, and Scott, go Brian. All right. So you have you're going up against a tell me why we need to get the current Democrat incumbent out. What kind of things is she voting for or saying that are alarming?
A voting record for a public official is just that. It is public. But I'll tell you, the more I meet people and the more I talk to people, with me, you're not going to get an activist. And I don't think anybody on either side wants an activist. And, my platforms are very simple. I mean, I'm a small business owner, so of course I'm going to be a little selfish with, I would like to see incentives for small business owners. And before that, tax cuts. Tax cuts are a big deal. And, again, with the politics being a huge business, so many people just give lip service. And, I can tell you I've had a background in sales, but one of my favorite things is going out and doing my installations. And I'll tell you that when I talk to people after a whole day of doing installs, and some people ask me, like, why would you want to run for office? So that wasn't my ambition, but it is now, because we need representation. So, we live in a country where, you can go from rags to riches. You just roll up your sleeves and you put in the work. So when I talk to people and they say, I'm really not big into politics, I guess I should say this about my district. We actually have 26,000 Republicans.
Okay.
So if they just showed up, that would be a force to be reckoned with.
Well, hear that out there? Everybody show up.
Not necessarily, because there's 22,000 Democrats. Okay. And I seek to represent them as well. Sure. I've never asked somebody before I put a water softener in or taught them gun safety. That's what has been a side hustle of mine for a while. But I've never asked them what their politics or what their religion is. Everybody deserves clean water. We just live in a country where we have to work hard and pay for the things that you want. So you got 26,000 Republicans, about 50-50-ish blended between, weak or strong. And then there's 22,000 Democrats. So Republicans have a 4,000 person advantage. And out of that 22,000 Democrats, there's 6,500 that, probably it'd be a non-starter if I introduced myself as a Republican, unfortunately.
Right.
And, and then 34,000 swing voters. So really I'm talking to everyone, but take those numbers with however you want. The things that motivate me are just the things that we all watch in the news and we scratch our heads and we say, why is 1 + 1 banana? It doesn't make sense in politics. And it's kind of like science. And I still haven't quite figured out what the political science degree is, right? But when you talk to people and you ask them to consider voting for you, or ask them for a donation, or tell their neighbors, or take anything that's important to you and go out and try to stir up support, and that's lobbying. So I think you're right, and the point that you made about civics and how important it is for us to get back to the basics of people understanding the process.
Sure.
I know you've been involved in the process for decades. And I didn't start with this. I would like to say thank you for having me here tonight, and thank you for doing this podcast, because it's an opportunity to hear it right, kind of so as you might have said, from the horse's mouth. The media, politicians, lobbyists, certain groups that send mail or commercials. So we have an opportunity talk about our conservative values and have a civil conversation about it. And that's all I'd like to see is some civility and some teamwork. We can't just hate the other team because then, collectively we all lose, right? We're really kind of three teams. We got the R team, the D team, and the I team.
That's right.
And ultimately, we should all want everyone to succeed and just set aside some of our differences and get to work.
Okay. So you had talked about taxes being, cutting taxes. Is that something your opponent has done, not done? Does she believe in cutting taxes, or is she voted to increase taxes, or what's her stance?
I would encourage people to go on to the Michigan House of Representatives and type in your address if you don't know what district you're in. We're in a new district. This district's only been voted on twice.
Right.
So some would argue that it's a brand new district.
Mm-hmm.
My opponent's voting record is just that. She voted against a permanent income tax cut. And we shared a little video on our Facebook page. If you look up Brian Ignatowski for state representative.
Is it FOR or number 4?
It is 4.
Number 4? FOR? Okay, yeah. Okay.
And we shared a video. One of our supporters, somebody that's in the district, that lives in the district, pays taxes in the district, votes in the district. She went to a public venue where Conlon was at and asked her, why did you vote against a permanent tax cut? And Conlon asked, which permanent income tax cut? And she said
not a good answer.
4170. And she said her response was, we need all the money we can get.
FOR.
So we need all the money that we can get is, to me, that is not a good way to. I think they're spaced out. Yeah, it's
Brian Ignatowski.
It's on Facebook. Yeah, Brian Ignatowski for state representative. That video has been viewed over 250,000 times the last time I checked.
So let's repeat this again. Now I'm gonna maybe get back to you. Somebody asked her why she didn't vote on a permanent tax cut. Mm-hmm. She didn't know what she voted on. She was reminded, and then the answer was, "Well, we need all the money we could get."
Correct.
Oh and my!
Later on in the interview,
dumbest answer ever.
Later on in the video, she circled back to the state budget, which is over $80 billion, by the way, and she said that which is a bipartisan budget. I'd encourage people to look up again the voting record. She voted against an income tax cut, which really that's kind of throwing it in the face of everybody that works for a living. So, and you look at policy. There was a newcomer rental subsidy, and when I was knocking doors in Ann Arbor and throughout Webster, Dexter, Northfield, all the townships, and I asked people, I just simply asked them. I didn't tell them what my opinion was. I was asking them, what do you feel about your tax dollars to pay for immigrants to get free rent for $500 a month for 12 months? And not that anybody's going to go back to the township, Hamburg Township forum, but it is on video just like this. And we went back and forth, my opponent and I did, just part of the civil process. And I doubled down on, I do not support the newcomer rental subsidy, nor I counted, and out of about, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 doors we knocked on, there were 7 people that told me that they think that their taxes should pay for immigrants to have free rent. $6,000 for an immigrant to whether it was whatever the status of that is. Everybody needs to work for the American dream. There's no handouts.
It's not because there's nothing free, because everything free to somebody got paid for by somebody else. So all right, we got some statements here, some questions. Josh Emmerich says, "Hi Brian, let's go." All right, Rob. Here's Rob Rod that says, "Looking good, Brian. You are looking good. It's a nice tie."
Thanks,
there.
Rob. Yeah, you
nice
too.
Suit. Okay, here. Aaron Curry. Brian, you've talked before about the importance of getting the facts right before taking a position. Recently, we've seen some public comments in this race, such as remarks about soybean sales that turn out to be inaccurate. When you're preparing to represent your district, how do you personally research issues to make sure you understand the real data? And how do you balance letting the legislative process work as intended rather than forcing decisions through ideology or political pressure? That's a mouthful, Aaron. You couldn't have done that in like 2 or 3. Thanks a lot. Let's start with chunk 1. When you're preparing to represent your district, how do you personally research issues to make sure you understand the real data?
Well, I am a firm believer that God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth proportionately for a reason. A representative should listen twice as much as they talk. So, a lot of topics come up, whatever the process calls for. So if it's a township issue, and I'm not going to throw out a whole bunch of them, but I know Aaron and I have talked a lot about some township things. So let's take Public Act 233. Okay, if I hadn't have been a candidate, but say I lived down the road from a place where they were going to put in a big solar array, I would know what Public Act 233 was. And what basically that was is, for an example, it would take away townships' ability to do zoning. And this is just one example of an issue that I found to be very interesting and very important. And I looked at the way that people that I was going to vote for, if they were an elected official, how did they vote on that? What is their stance on that? And that's just from an independent, from a personal standpoint, rather. Right. And I think there's a lot of issues that transcend party, but some parties will pick up one issue or the other. And you see how that plays out. So I think that, what is the issue? If it's a township issue, then it should be involved in the township. If it's a county issue, maybe talk to your county commissioners. Most people don't know that all the money that flows in and out of a township, as I'm sure you're very well aware of, Deb, that goes through the county commissioners. And I can't tell you how many times I've been on my the zoning board of appeals for Hamburg, and when there's public comment, if it doesn't affect somebody, they don't go. There's nobody there. It's usually, it's been more times than not my son coming with me and hanging out with me and on his iPad in the corner for public comment. But that's just what it is. So you listen to what people feel about an issue. And if they're really passionate about an issue, there's probably going to be a ballot initiative, like a clipboard going around.
Sure.
And I can't tell you how many times I've talked to people, they have no idea about, citizens only voting or Axe My Tax or all these other things, because it costs a lot of money to get your messaging out. So.
Well, and I will tell you something that is available to state representatives that, unless you're a state representative or have worked in an office, that most people are not aware of. First of all the state representatives, each caucus has their own policy people that are the policy experts on those things. So something comes up on energy, there's an energy policy guy that will answer questions, will advise, will give you the answer to, because when your constituents call them, they're going to say, hey, what about XYZ? Well, you don't know XYZ. That's not, water, gun, you don't know XYZ water. So you go to the policy people. That's one avenue. And the policy people know, and they say, well, if you do this. The other thing that there's something called, it's a nonpartisan, it's called the Legislative Service Bureau. And there's legislative research that can be done there, that you can send them your research and say, give me the data on this. Tell me how many people. I know I worked on a bill at one point where we were looking at the complaint came in from the UP that there wasn't enough dental that served Medicaid there. So I asked the organization, I said, give me in Michigan, I want it broken down by county, how many kids are on Medicaid dental and how many dentists accept Medicaid in there. And there was ratios where it was like 8,000 to 1. In counties. So, but it's that kind of places you can get your stuff too. So listening to people, that's terrific. The fact that you're willing to do that is going to make you a great representative. But the added bonus is you got people there with actual data that can help you as well. All right. The next part is when you're preparing to, we did that one. And how do you balance letting the legislative process work as intended rather than forcing decisions through ideology or political pressure?
Yeah, well, with the legislative process, the last guest you talked about Axe My Tax, and that is, there's a couple different ways that you can do things in Michigan. You can do a constitutional amendment, which is what that is. And I've been to many township meetings and all the townships in the 48th district, and I've talked to people about that. And the biggest concern with that is that it's subverting the legislative process, which doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. I just ask people, again, I ask them, what do you think about this? Clerks are very concerned that there's going to be money to run elections or
because that's not listed as one of the
or
neither
fund
are the
schools
treasurers
or schools or police. I
That's
asked
right. It's a
police
mess.
officers
It's a mess.
what do you think about how is that going to affect you? Well, you mentioned earlier again about millages, right? So you can drive around to different townships and get different counties and talk to different people. So I believe that is why we have the legislative process, and some things, I would hope that a majority of the things fit in the legislative process. But what I find very often is people have a certain issue. It really affects them. They get involved. And then they realize it's a slow grind in Lansing. So, my desire is to be here on the ground, boots on the ground with my constituents. I mean, we had like 60,000 people vote in the last election. So I think from township to township, those issues are different. And I think that the power is supposed to come from the bottom up. The state and the Fed run too many things. So, I'm interested in my backyard.
Good.
And hopefully we covered all of Aaron's 17
I think
points
we have.
with
I
that.
think we have. Yeah, Aaron, you can break them up in bite-sized chunks next time.
Or at least text me before I come in here so I'm prepared for you.
You're fine.
We
You
did not
fine.
do that.
You did fine. We got your back here.
Good.
All right. So what you talked about what you do. So what made you decide to run again? I think a lot of that I was happily surprised, but lots of times a candidate runs one time. If they don't win, they go away. We never hear from them again. You took a minute and then you're back, which is good. We were glad to hear that. So talk about what made you want to come back and give it another go.
Again, I am I'll tell you what I'll quote my friend Jake. My friend Jake Fox, you can look him up. He was a professional baseball player. He came to one of my fundraisers in Dexter, and I've known him through the church for years. And he basically said Brian's one persistent what.
Right.
And so again, my kids and my wife saying, you're going to do it again, right? I mean, that was the sentiment. You're going to do it again, right? Now, I didn't say this, and I should probably say it about 14 times. My website's brian48.com, and watch the video on my,
brian48.com.
It's not like a political script, although I wrote down what I was going to say, which is definition of a script. But I literally had somebody stop me at the grocery store today and tell me, I went to high school with you, and I'm like, oh, it's good to see you. I said, which year did you graduate? Oh, it was 2003. And I said, well, I graduated in 2000. And he was like, yeah, I'm not sure if you remember me, but he looked familiar. And he goes, I watch you, and I've been following your campaign, and you're doing great. Keep it up. And I thought that was really cool. So, I don't think that anything happens for no reason. I definitely don't believe in coincidence. But my I guess call or vision, whatever you want to call it, was just again, it's a new district. I live in Pinckney. I do business in Ann Arbor, Livingston County, Jackson County, all of Southeast Michigan, and I couldn't just sit there and see nobody run for the position. Now, if you judge the closeness of our race, and you look at how close it was in the general, again, we outperformed all of the expectations. I got some interesting calls from Lansing, like, wow, you did really good. Yep. You had no name ID. I actually, I looked it up and before we came in, and I filed close to the deadline. So if you say we started May 1st of 2024, we had 6 months to November 1st. So we got 6 months and a couple days.
That's right.
We started 14 months earlier. Again,
plus you just had a go round where a lot of people knew your name. So you weren't, first time you came out of nowhere, and the people in the party knew you, and that was about it. And you had to get to know everybody else. Now coming around again, at least your name is familiar. And that's a big deal. So that helps you a great deal.
Well, and I did, it's the winter. I'm not knocking doors because that would just be weird. It's Michigan. So I just looked up some of my clients, and I started calling some of my people that I've given firearms training and safety classes to, and some of my clients that I've helped with their water filtration at their home or business. And I just looked at a map and looked at the people that were in my district. I didn't have time to do that when I was running a 6-month campaign.
That's right.
And that included the general and the primary.
Yep.
And in one day, I called probably a couple hundred people, and I had 7 people that did not know that I was the same person that helped them, in their family or their business. And so I think that messaging and people whatever way you say marketing, and again with politics, people are, we have kind of a short attention span, right? So, it is getting out there, talking to people, staying in the community,
right.
Keeping the signs. There was some elections, off elections, and people were like, hey, we're going to put your sign out there. And I said, well, as long as you don't get any complaints from the township or the neighbors or whatever, go ahead. It's your personal property. So I think that the support was, and again, how close it was. I mean, we're talking, less than 4.5%. I mean, nobody expected that. When we were outspent by almost $500,000.
Yes.
My opponent had $500,000, almost exactly, and we had $40,000. So I thought $40,000 was pretty good in 6 months.
We're going to do better this time. Speaking of $40,000, and speaking of doing better, I just want to throw this up. Wait, let's get this off here so it doesn't block it. Okay, so on Monday, that's already coming up Monday. Monday from 5 to 8 p.m. right here at the famous Livingston County Republican Party Victory Center here on M36. We're going to have a Sunday fundraiser for Mr. Ignatowski here. We're going to be, yours truly will be here on hand, serving up ice cream sundaes and floats and hot chocolate for Brian and his kids. So we're going to have all kinds of good stuff here. Any size donation, you walk in, you write a check to Brian Ignatowski for state representative, and we're going to give you a choice, a sundae, hot chocolate, float. You can have 2 if you want. So just come on down, meet Brian, shake his hand. We'll have a spot where you can sign up for a sign location. We really need sign locations. An endorsement, all those kind of things. So we really look forward to having you out here. You don't have to live in Livingston County. We'll take your Washtenaw County money or your Jackson County money. Russ, I know you're here watching. I saw you earlier. I meant to point it out. Hi, but we'll take your out-of-town money. Brian really could use the support here. We're kind of kicking him off. So everybody, we'd love to have you. Bring your kids, bring your wife, bring your family. Don't bring your dogs. And we'll give you ice cream and we'll have fun. So let's get some of these comments here. So we have Kelly here who says, it's amazing how many people follow Brian's campaign. That is true, madam. We have KB. I'm wondering if that's Karen. Don't get me started on the current state rep. Yeah, we want to get you started. Here she comes. Aha, she got started. When our current district was hijacked by redistricting, we were gifted with one radical progressive who does not represent our values. Yep, that is absolute truth. And we are going to we're going to help Brian as much as we can. We're going to take her out. That is the take her out. That's going to be our chant. Take her out. We're going to get her out of there. So Brian, I have been doing this podcast for almost a year. God, it has already been a year. Almost a year. And I have explained the Drick election to pie to 1,100 candidates. You are the first one I do not have to explain that to. So we have the Drick election pie. I ask every candidate this. Where do you have, what pie slices do you have big fatty pie slices? Which ones? So first off, don't talk about pie because you're going to make me hungry. And I'm already thinking about ice cream. But again, it's, there's just, my first campaign was in 2024. Right. So, and going through some of the training and your training and Leadership Institute and all of these things, I think about, for me, the biggest thing that comes to mind when I think about pie, percentage or strength. Right. Yeah. I think about 80-20. You talked about civics earlier. So I'm not sure exactly which slice of the pie, but I'm sure I'm about to find out or get kicked under the table with the picking 80-20 issues. It's a bad idea. So when I look at the, the campaign,
it's a very different campaign in a gubernatorial, the governor race.
Sure.
So I'm not sure exactly how that's going to shake out, but I'm going to work hard to keep things proportionate, in my race, and really keep a level mind on it. There's things that we can't control, so let me know how I answer that pie question.
Let me give you one pie that I see, one pie slice that I see that you have a stronger pie slice than she does, and that is you don't have a bad record. You don't say stupid stuff on camera. That people see in the thousands and stuff. So there's a good spot about being incumbent if you've. Ann Bolen, perfect example. Ann Bolen has run her campaign and conducted herself in office in such a way that nothing on her record is going to come back to bite her. You can go back and take any clip of her, any vote, and she doesn't have to explain anything. She's done it right. Jennifer Conlon is not the same. She's got all kinds of faux pas. You mentioned one earlier where she talked about she didn't vote for cutting taxes because we need all the money we can get. The state needs all the money they can get. That is the kind of thing that you don't have in your background. You don't have a bunch of comments. So I mean, you can have a history and look good, or a history and work against you. And hers is definitely working against her. So let's see. We have here. Scott Greenlee says he's going to see you at the fundraising event next Monday. You're on. You pick your flavor. No tacos. It's not Tuesday. All right. So I asked her. Oh, back to Karen here. I think it's Karen.
Before you answer that, can I mention you mentioned Ann Bolen. Ann Bolen is somebody that I definitely I've called many times about. We share a lot of things. A mutual faith. She's somebody that spent a lot of time in local politics serving at a township level, and is somebody that I admire and follow her very, very closely. And her fiscal conservative policies, she's
unquestioned.
Definitely somebody that is very, I think, very practical and very level-headed. And so that's someone that I, aspire to be. I think it's a superpower when you can have somebody, yelling at you, because you're Republican and you have conservative values. And I just ask them for an opportunity to have a conversation. And I'm leaving as I'm walking away and say, okay, well, that's unfortunate, but I don't let it get me down. I have thick enough skin, and I guess a little thicker than I thought going into it. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that about Ann. She's somebody that I definitely admire.
Oh yeah, she's wonderful,
politics.
And she's a great person to emulate because, like I said, she doesn't. Her videos are not being replayed. Like, look at this stupid woman just said, as in. So I think, and you don't have any videos like that either. So my whole point was you've got one of your pie slices is that you don't have a stupid history that's on tape out there being replayed. You also have, I think this is a Republican year. So, the Democrats have got a very poor playbook. And so I feel like you're one of your pie slices. It's a good year for you. So good year for Republicans. So there's just a couple examples. So wait a minute, all of a sudden, boom, 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 they're coming in all over the place. Yeah. Hold on. How many people follow? Well, okay, there. See the fundraising.
I see Aaron's question.
I know. I'm waiting on him. Hold on.
He's fishing. I'm going to talk about Habitat for
Aaron
Humanity.
Curry, let's go. Brian 48, making the district great. Last question. Are you involved in any, oh my God, talk about a softball, Aaron. Yeah. Why don't you just type it up there?
Yeah.
J's, OPs. Go ahead.
Well, again, I
wonder what that was about.
I've spent my entire life in Michigan. And I mentioned going on my third year now at the Zoning Board of Appeals in Hamburg Township. So I have had a taste of local politics. I'm a precinct delegate, so we have a convention coming up. We're going to be voting on candidates for Attorney General, Secretary of State. Last cycle we voted on Michigan Supreme Court. Service organizations, I'm on my 11th year of Sons of the American Legion. I have a big family, many people in my family that have served in the military. My grandpa was an aircraft mechanic in the Navy. So I joined the Sons of the American Legion, and I paid my dues for the last 11 years. My brother was in the Navy. He was a CB. My wife's grandpa was in the military. My brother-in-law was in the Army. So very, very much so. And I will mention, you talked about that pie slice and bad just either bad videos or bad press. And I would just like to say on record that I would never take a endorsement from Jane Fonda and her climate pack.
Oh dear God! Oh dear God!
For the military, and
Jane.
I don't need to go down. Yep, I don't need to go down that.
Myself.
But it is Habitat for Humanity. I was asked by Aaron. He's also on the board, and I, before signing up for another board or another thing, I did some research on Habitat, asked some local developers and local electeds like our Senator Lana Tyson. I said, what? Tell me a little bit about Habitat, and it was very quick to see that was a great organization, and they take people with certain criteria for credit, certain criteria for income, who otherwise might not be able to afford the dream of home ownership. So I'm very passionate. There's a gala coming up quick in February. It's the 7th at Horse Feathers. That was we just had one of our own Livingston County Republican members actually offer up the $3,000 contractor level. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that I was voluntold by our beloved Rick Bowden many years ago to ask me to be on the Pinckney Putnam Hamburg Howell Chamber of Commerce. So, and in 2022. I'm sorry, was it 23? Get my years straight. I was nominated the emerging leader through the Greater Brighton Area Chamber of Commerce. So
nice.
I'm also involved in the Knights of Columbus at my church. And I sure hope I'm not missing any because I did not have that list in front of me. But
I want to put a plug in for Habitat. I worked for Habitat for Humanity at the state level for 8 years. Wow. One of the greatest 8 years of my life. I enjoyed it very much. I did a lot of statewide programs from them. I used to kind of work with and train people across the state. So it's a fantastic organization. If you really want to get behind an organization that really, truly makes a difference in people's life, Habitat's the one to do. So, Stephanie, you keep asking about Brian's stance on a recall. We're not going to get into that because this is a Republican show. We do not ever attack other Republicans on this show. So I understand what you're saying, but we're not going to go there. It's not about you. We're just not going to attack. We're not going to attack other Republicans regardless. So, okay.
And I'm very focused on my district.
That's
so
right.
Tyrone is not my district.
That's right. Okay. Kevin Spire coming soon to a door near you. Brian will not be overworked. See you Monday. All right.
Outworked.
All right. We have our commission vice chair, our new commission vice chair here, Mr. Drick. Will you be at Livingston County Strategic Planning Session? Your opinions and suggestions are valuable. Plus, I will buy you breakfast. So.
Well, you have my attention.
You had him at breakfast.
And your wife also asked me about that, and I have it on my calendar.
Okay.
So,
we got Karen here. It's pretty good portfolio. Go Brian. Katie Shaw Lawrence. Go
What's up,
Brian.
Katie?
Hi, Katie.
Yeah.
So good. Well, here's Kelly. There's a lot more service, or there is a more service. I think it's supposed to be there's not. I'm going to point out there you go. See, there we are. We knew what you meant, Kelly. There's not a more service-oriented guy than Brian, most generous guy out there. Agreed.
I definitely have a passion for service. It started, out of high school in retail, going to school for business. Not really exactly sure what I wanted to do, but I looked back before I made the decision to run, and I talked to my wife and prayed about it, and I said, you know what? I've been in some type of service my whole life, my whole adult life. So, I definitely will say that, in my situation, my wife, first thing, most important thing was she was on board with this. And I definitely believe in our case, opposites attracted in that respect, that being out there and going out and being in the community definitely fills my bucket. We definitely, we have a great, a relationship, and that this has all been good for our family. And
I know nothing about having an opposite as a spouse. Nothing at all. Okay, so we have, let's see, once again, we have Brian48.com. You can find out all his information there. I suspect there's a way to contact you there.
Yeah, there's a web email address that's info@brian48.com.
Okay.
We have a great team this year. Is going to be getting it's going to get a little crazy, right? We know we're not the only show in town. We, just like the last election, there was a lot going on. There was things that, we could control, and there was definitely things that are out of our control.
That's right.
So I definitely call that the God factor. But, any question is important, especially if you live in the district. So if you're not sure, if you live in the district, just Google Michigan House of Representatives. punch your address in. Again, it's a new district. Find out, make sure that I'm going to be on your ballot as your representative. It's not that I don't care about
Well,
what
tell
you...
us what precincts you cover then.
Yeah, so going down the list, in Livingston County, which is the most relevant to this show, we have the entire township of Genoa, Hamburg, and also the village of Pinckney. Interesting thing about the village of Pinckney that I would mention is part of it is Putnam Township. Putnam and Genoa also just did a redistrict, so there's going to be different voting locations. So get out there and get on the website or call your township clerk or your county clerk and make sure you know where you're going to vote, because Genoa went from 9 precincts down to 6.
Yep.
And if you look at it on the map, it kind of makes sense. Plus, it's going to be easier for them and cheaper, from what I've been told. So all 6 precincts, all of Genoa Township is my district. Hamburg has 7 precincts, I believe 7.
Okay.
And Putnam changed to 4. So the village of Pinckney is precinct 3, and then the southeast quadrant.
But you don't have the rest of the Putnam ones. Just Village Pinckney. Okay.
That's the 50th House District.
Okay.
Now let's go down into Washtenaw. So the interesting thing about Whitmore Lake, as people know it, it's if you don't live there, you probably don't know, it's Northfield Township.
Okay.
And
it's Washtenaw County.
Specifically, it cuts the lake in half, so it's kind of interesting. If you live on the north side of Whitmore Lake, the body of water, you're actually in Ann Boland's area.
Green Oak there?
Green Oak Township.
Okay.
And if you are just south of that,
I did not know this.
You'll know that you'll know which county you live in, because the same house across that line costs a lot more in taxes.
Oh.
Okay. Little bit of
sucks to be them.
Of a plug there, but no, and then you go from Northfield Township, which goes in the top right corner. There's a little bit of Southline mailing. So again, just see which township you're in, and then it goes Webster, Dexter, Linden, not Linden, Michigan, but Linden Township, Lyndon.
Okay.
And then it goes into Jackson County, right? You mentioned Russ Jennings, the chair there.
Yeah.
That is Waterloo.
Waterloo, right.
And then if you come down into Ann Arbor, you have Ann Arbor Township and 2 wards of northern Ann Arbor City. So
that's Louise.
That's the mix.
That is, what do they call that? A melting pot.
Yep.
Wow. You go from uber red to uber blue, and a whole bunch of fun in the middle. So, all right. Well, we're going to be pulling for you. As you know, we've all committed to you. Deb. We're going to do what we can for you. And once again, we're going to kick it off here. I think we're going to have lunch with Russ on Friday, you and I. Russ and the other candidate from the Washtenaw Jackson area. So we're going to try and figure out some more stuff. But for right now, before we get out of there,
I do want to mention also, especially if I've knocked on your door, or somebody, if you're an independent voter or really on either side, it doesn't matter. But if there's an issue that's extremely important to you and you're eager, obviously you can find us on Facebook. You can go on the website. You can put the form in there. But my direct email is brian@brian48.com. So we've got and some people use Facebook Messenger. I'm not really doing a whole lot specifically, like with we have a couple people that are that help us with fielding some messages on Messenger, but I'm kind of taking a little bit of a break, between now and after Easter, and ramping up and getting ready for the race. So definitely brian@brian48.com is a good email if you have something urgent or you really want to pick up on a conversation maybe we started on. But yeah, Facebook, we're on TikTok, Instagram, all of that stuff, and we actually have on my individual page, which I find the individual pages to be very much more, maybe because they're more personal. We have 16,000 followers, but definitely follow. Go on to. We also have a candidate Facebook page. I think maybe because it's political, maybe it's a little bit less popular, but we're coming up to almost 2,000. We're just south of 1,900 followers there, and again, the TikTok, Instagram, all that other stuff, we're pretty easy to find.
Good. All right. Anything else that you want anybody to know?
No. Again, I would just say it's a pretty simple recipe. If you want to win an election, we need dollars and doors. Right. And that's really what it boils down to. Dollars to get the messaging out, Yeah, I can tell you, I absolutely look at the things that we need to get our message out there. Digital, radio,
Signs.
TV, signs.
Yep.
That stuff's very expensive. And again, last cycle we nearly unseated an incumbent who spent $500,000 to our $40,000. And again, it's only been ran twice. So, you know what they say, third time's a charm. So we need your help.
All right. Well, we're talking money. One of the first some of his kickoff money, or at least from the party. We're hosting this Sunday fundraiser for him. That is Monday. I don't know what we call it, a Sunday fundraiser, because it's Monday. We should have done it on Sunday.
One day earlier. Yeah.
Monday, yes. So a Monday Sunday fundraiser. That's it. Monday Sunday fundraiser from 5 to 8 p.m. January 19th. That is next Monday, right here at the LCRP Victory Center. We are behind the Hamburg Family Dental Center. There's a building called Assemblers. We're around the back of that. Come on in, and the checks be made out to Brian Ignatowski for state representative, and any size donation will get you a sundae or two, or a float, or hot chocolate, or any combination thereof. So we look forward to come here, shake his hand, meet him. If you've never met him. It's late. If you've never met Brian, you really need to make the trip down here. Meet him, shake his hand, look him in the eye. You're going to see he's the real deal, and we really need him. In there. Let's kick Conlon out, Karen. That just sums up the whole stinking podcast right now. So we're going to leave on that note. All right, we're going to go on to commercial here, and then I'll be back, and we're going to talk about a couple other things. So thanks, Brian, for coming.
Thank you, Deb, and I'd just like to say thank you again for having me on your show tonight. Thank you for all of your support. Thanks for doing the Monday Sunday fundraiser.
That's right.
And really look forward to meeting anybody, especially that's watching this. Again, you don't have to live in the district.
No.
We just ran the numbers. We were in the top 10 out of 110 state house races last cycle, and we made the top 10 closest. So we just need your help, and again, we hope to see you Monday.
Everything helps. Yep. Come on out. I want this place packed full of people. I want to have to send Jay to the Kroger down the street for more ice cream. So we'll see you on Monday, and we'll be right back.
Someone once said, "Where your treasure goes, there also will be your heart." What kind of world do you want to invest in? Do your investments fund industries that tempt people to harm relationships? What if you could be more intentional with your money? What if your investments built content that enriched others' minds? Jason Huntley, CFP, has been guiding families for 30 plus years to plan, invest, and build for the next generation. Scan the QR code now to make that first step to investing intentionally.
Okay, and we're back, or I'm back. What a great show it was today. Between Ralph and his views and his sense of humor. It was funny. Joni says it's good to hear you speak again. Brianus. Was Brianus, is that a joke or was that a typo? I don't know if that's like a pet name you have for him or what, but good to hear you speak again, Brianus. All right. So, what a great night this has been. Good candidates. It's good to hear good, it's really encouraging to hear such good candidates that we have in Michigan. I think we can hardly go wrong with any of our candidates. We're doing good. Just want to once again talk about the strategic planning session we're having this Saturday at 8:30 a.m. or 8:30 a.m. is the executive committee meeting. It's the January meeting. It's going to take a half an hour. We're just going to we're going to talk about a potential bylaw change, but nothing, it'll go quick. Our EC meetings have gone pretty quickly, but then we get into the strategic plan. The morning is going to be kind of recap and kind of how did we do here? How did we do in the categories we talked about at the last strategic plan? And we're all going to kind of discuss what maybe we should have done differently. Where did we shine, and where do we need to shine better? So that's the first half of the day. Second half of the day is just killer. It's where we start planning this year. And last year we had some people that had to leave early, and I'm begging everybody, please mark off the whole day. Leaving early really puts people in a bind because it takes your voice out of the planning session for the rest of the year. So please plan on taking the day. Especially our EC members, we really need you there. So that's we also need a lunch. We have Mr. Drick has offered to sponsor a breakfast for everybody. So we're going to have that here. It's going to be continental bagels and cream cheese, et cetera, et cetera. So we're looking for a lunch sponsorship as well. So would appreciate anybody stepping up that can do that. You can reach me at chair@livingstonrepublicans.com and just let me know if you can help take care of lunch. Anybody have any idea? Please RSVP, same address, chair@livingstonrepublicans.com. Let me know that you're coming because I need to be able to buy enough breakfast and buy enough lunch, and I don't want to buy too much. So if you are a Livingston County Republican, you are welcome. If you are a Democrat watching this show, you are not welcome. So it's very clear. We're looking to build our Republican Party, and we need Republicans to give us ideas. So if you're not on the EC or you're a delegate, but you're not a member, that's okay. If you're a Republican, come. We still want to hear your ideas. You can still participate. Just let me know, please, that you're coming. All right. Well, I'm looking forward. I did something I don't do very well. I don't do often. I actually spent money. I spent some money on this thing because I bought tables. I bought some kind of long tables that people can write on and stuff. There's a lot of seats here, but they're not conducive to trainings because they're conducive to lectures. They're sit and look. So I bought some tables. I broke down, I spent a little bit of money, and I brought some tables for the Victory Center. So we've got some foldable tables so we can sit in a big U and kind of all work together, and we'll have something to write on, etc. So that's good news. So I'm feeling like I dusted off the dollars. I shook them off out of the purse and spent the money. So we're good there. All right. Well, we're good. This has been a great podcast. I'm glad to be back. We had a nice few weeks off for the holidays, but we're back and here we go. So we will see you. I've got a couple people juggling for the next couple weeks. So watch the Facebook page for the next announcement of who's up next. But we will see you next Tuesday here at 7 o'clock. Thanks, guys, and good night.